It wasn't that long ago, late 2023, to be precise, when I found myself with just $75 in my pocket. I was 24, barely a year out of college, and scraping by with a minimum wage gig as a parrot mascot, banging on a tambourine at a seaside arcade. I'd drag myself home at 3 a.m., utterly drained, only to roll out of bed at 1 p.m., sink into video games for hours, and puff on e-cigarettes until my head buzzed. I was thin, flat broke, and felt like life had me in a chokehold, with no way out. That sense of being trapped still echoes in my memory. At 25, I took a grueling cashier job right after my degree, thinking it'd be a launchpad. But the overnight shifts, the endless routine, and the weight of it all left me hollow, much like the narrator's struggle. I'd scroll through Instagram at 3 a.m., watching peers jet off to Europe or snag creative gigs, while I was stuck counting change for $8 an hour. It's a bitter pill to swallow when you realize your 20s aren't unfolding as planned. Looking back now, those dark days were the first whispers of change, urging me to break free and rewrite my future. Back then, I thought earning my diploma would open doors to a world of possibilities, maybe a sleek office, a reliable car, or at least a life that sparkled with promise. But reality slapped me hard. Instead of soaring, I was sinking into confusion, replaying every misstep in my mind. I'd bought into the classic playbook: graduate, grab a steady job, climb the ladder, only to discover it wasn't my game. It didn't take long to see that this path felt like a costume I was forced to wear, one that didn't fit my soul. That disconnect between dreams and reality hits close to home. After college, I chased security with a 9 to 5, but it felt like a slow death of my ambitions. A cousin of mine, in 2024, ditched her office gig to launch a handmade jewelry brand. She's now pulling in $150,000 annually and living on her terms, a life I envied while I was tethered to a desk. The narrator's epiphany mirrors my own: the traditional route can be a gilded cage. In 2025, with the digital economy exploding, think e-commerce, freelancing, it's clearer than ever that we can carve our own paths if we dare to step off the conveyor belt. One chilly evening in late 2023, I sat huddled with a bowl of instant ramen, poring over old bank statements, desperate to unravel my mess. That's when I spotted it, a $60 charge for takeout from a night I barely remembered. I stared in disbelief. How had I justified that? It dawned on me that I'd been in better shape financially the year before, dabbling in online content creation and earning a few $100 on the side. But I'd abandoned it, dismissing it as a fluke. Now, I was paying the price, staring at a nearly empty account and a life that felt like a stranger's. That jolt of clarity is something I've felt too. In mid-2024, I unearthed a $90 coffee shop receipt from a reckless weekend, while my savings hovered at $300. It was a mirror to my choices. I'd been tossing money on fleeting escapes while ignoring seeds of potential. Like the narrator, I'd toyed with online ventures, selling ebooks, but quit when it got tough. That receipt was my turning point, much like their $60 revelation. As I sit here on May 14, 2025, at 9:02 p.m., I see those moments as gifts. They expose where we've lost our way and light the path to where we need to go. That night was the wake-up call I'd been avoiding. I realized I'd let myself spiral, physically frail, financially drained, and mentally adrift. But in that dim room, with ramen steam fogging my glasses, a fire flickered to life. I couldn't keep drifting like this. If I wanted a life that sang with purpose, I'd have to build it brick by brick, starting from this rock bottom. That chilly night in late 2023 was the wake-up call I'd been dodging for too long. Staring at that $60 takeout charge, I saw the truth. I'd let myself slide into a pit of my own making. Physically weak, financially hollow, and mentally lost. It wasn't just about the money, it was the realization that no one was coming to rescue me, no fairy godmother with a handout to wave a wand and fix it all. If I wanted a life beyond that parrot costume and ramen dinners, I had to claw my way out myself. I've been in that same headspace, and it's a lonely place. Back in 2024, after a string of bad choices left me with $400 to my name, I hit a wall, exhausted from hoping someone would save me. I'd wait for a promotion that never came or a lucky break that didn't exist. Then, one evening, scrolling through YouTube at 2 a.m., I stumbled on a video about a peer who turned a side hustle into a $200,000 business by 2025. It hit me, no one's handing out lifeboats, you build your own. That night, like the narrators, was my spark. As I sit here on May 14, 2025, at 9:06 p.m., I see how those moments of clarity can ignite a fire if you let them. Some people hear self-development and roll their eyes, dismissing it as some fluffy, cringe-worthy trend, self-help gurus preaching positivity while sipping green smoothies. I get it, I used to scoff too, thinking success was about talent or luck, not some inner overhaul. But here's the raw truth: if you cling to a skeptical, closed-off mindset, convinced the world owes you something, you're only fooling yourself. Real change starts when you ditch those mental chains and decide to rewrite who you are at your core. That skepticism was my shield for years. After college, I'd mutter, self-help is for dreamers, while stuck in a dead-end job. But in 2023, a mentor challenged me to read a book on mindset shifts, and it felt like peeling back layers of doubt. I think of a friend who, in 2024, went from doubting her skills to launching a podcast that now earns $50,000 annually, proof that shedding limiting beliefs works. On May 14, 2025, with AI tools and online communities thriving, the resources to transform are at our fingertips. The narrator's journey reminds us, it's not cringe. It's courage. For years, I'd wrestle with the same questions. Why am I not earning more? Why isn't this working? Life's unfair, right? But one day, the fog lifted. I saw that without the right foundation, without clearing out the mental clutter of I can't or I'm not enough, no amount of hustle would get me there. It's like building a house on sand, it collapses under pressure. So, I decided to start fresh, to erase those limiting beliefs and reprogram my mind for something better. That epiphany was a game changer for me too. In 2024, I'd work 10-hour days but still feel stuck, blaming the economy or bad luck. Then I read about neuroplasticity, how our brains can rewire, and tried it, journaling daily to replace I'm failing with I'm learning. A colleague, once paralyzed by self-doubt, started a fitness blog in 2023 and now pulls $30,000 a year from it. The narrator's call to reprogram resonates deeply. Today, in 2025, with podcasts and apps guiding us, it's easier than ever to rebuild our mindset, it just takes that first brave step. That's when I took action. I laced up my sneakers and hit the gym with a vengeance, not just for the body but for the mind. I dove into books and podcasts, everything from financial strategies to personal growth, devouring them like a starving person at a feast. It wasn't enough to just soak up the knowledge, I had to apply it, push my limits, and slowly carve a path toward the life I wanted. Each rep, each page, each lesson was a brick in a new foundation. With my mindset finally clicking into place and new habits taking root, I knew it was time to push myself harder than ever. The gym had strengthened my body, the books had sharpened my mind, but now I needed to act. I made a bold choice, to lock myself in a small room, cutting out every distraction, friends, family, even the hum of the outside world, to pour my soul into building something real. It wasn't glamorous, it was raw, relentless work, a grind that demanded every ounce of my focus. That decision to isolate resonates with me deeply. A couple of years ago, I faced a crossroads, stuck in a rut with a job that drained me. I decided to hole up in my tiny apartment, turning off my phone for days, just to focus on a side project. It wasn't easy, the silence felt deafening at first, but it forced me to confront my goals. I think of someone I know who locked themselves away to code an app, emerging months later with a product that now brings in steady income. On a night like this, May 14, 2025, at 9:09 p.m., I see how stepping away from noise can amplify your inner drive. It's a sacrifice that carves the path to progress. My days became a rhythm of sacrifice. I'd wake before dawn, hit the gym to clear my head, then retreat to that room, working 10 to 13 hours straight, sometimes stretching into the late evening. There were no weekends, no lazy afternoons. Just the same cycle, day after day. I barely saw my loved ones, their voices faded as my world shrank to a desk, a laptop, and a dream. It wasn't the Instagram-worthy hustle of sleek offices or trendy coffee shops, it was the gritty reality of what it takes to turn nothing into something worth having. I've lived that grind too. In 2023, I committed to a similar routine, waking at 5 a.m. to write, then working on a digital course until midnight. Friends thought I'd vanished, and family worried, but I knew the solitude was fueling my growth. I recall a neighbor who spent months perfecting a handmade craft business, sacrificing social time, only to see it take off beautifully. The unglamorous truth is, success often hides in the shadows of hard work, something I've learned to embrace. Tonight, with the world buzzing outside, it's a reminder that the quiet hours build the loudest victories. This wasn't a fleeting burst of effort, it became my life for months. The room became my sanctuary and my battlefield, where every late night and every tired keystroke was a step toward a future I could claim. I wasn't just building a business, I was forging a new version of myself, one defined by discipline and determination. It was messy, exhausting, and far from perfect, but it was the foundation of something meaningful, a testament to what happens when you commit fully to your vision. The day finally arrived, launch day. After months of isolation and relentless work, I stood at the edge of a new chapter, my heart pounding with anticipation. I'd poured every drop of energy into this business, crafting it in that small room with nothing but determination and a flickering laptop screen. The moment I hit publish, I expected fireworks, sales rolling in, validation of my sacrifice. But the first day brought almost nothing. A trickle of views, a handful of clicks, and a bank account that barely budged. I sat there, staring at my screen, whispering, "Is this it? Was all that effort for nothing?" I've felt that gut-wrenching silence too. In 2023, I launched a small online store after months of prep, only to see $20 in sales on day one. The disappointment was crushing, like the wind knocked out of me. I remember a friend who debuted a YouTube channel in 2024, expecting instant subscribers, only to face crickets for weeks. It's a universal sting, that first taste of failure after hard work. But sitting here on May 14, 2025, at 9:12 p.m., I see those quiet moments as the forge where resilience is shaped. The narrator's doubt mirrors my own, it's the spark that pushes us to dig deeper. Instead of letting despair take over, I forced myself to look inward. The launch flopped, sure, but why? I replayed every step, my marketing was the weak link. I'd thrown together some ads myself, fumbling through platforms with no expertise, and watched my budget vanish like smoke. After losing nearly all my starting capital, I hit a wall. Self-doubt crept in, but so did a flicker of resolve. I knew my strength lay in creativity, not the technical maze of paid advertising or media buying. So, I took a leap. Risking my last few dollars to outsource it to someone who knew the game. That pivot was a lesson I learned the hard way too. In 2024, I tried managing ads for my digital course, burning through $150 before admitting defeat. It was humbling, but it taught me to lean on my strengths, content creation, and hire help for the rest. I think of a colleague who, after a failed product launch, outsourced marketing and turned it around within months. The narrator's gamble with their last pennies echoes my own risk-taking moment. Tonight, in 2025, with freelance talent abundant online, that leap feels less daunting. It's about knowing when to ask for support and trusting the process. It was a gamble, no doubt, a roll of the dice with everything on the line. But I was willing to bet on myself, to trust that this shift could turn the tide. The room that had been my prison now felt like a crucible, testing my mettle. I didn't know if it would pay off, but I knew standing still wasn't an option. This was my chance to prove that setbacks were just stepping stones, not the end of the road. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. After outsourcing the marketing, sales started trickling in, first a few orders, then a steady stream. It wasn't the explosive success I'd dreamed of, with champagne toasts and instant riches, but it was real progress, a lifeline pulling me out of the launch day despair. By the end of month 6, I hit a milestone that felt like a victory lap, a £12,000 profit month in August. It wasn't just money, it was proof that my gamble had paid off, that the long hours and lonely nights were building something tangible. I've tasted that slow climb too. In 2023, I launched an ebook series that barely sold 10 copies the first month, but by month 4, I hit $1,500 in profit, a modest win that felt monumental. I think of a neighbor who started a baking blog, seeing crumbs of success before baking up $5,000 a month by year's end. The narrator's £12,000 moment mirrors my own joy when persistence paid off. Tonight, May 14, 2025, at 9:14 p.m., I reflect on how those small victories stack up, each one a brick in a bridge from struggle to strength. It's not about the explosion, it's about the steady burn. That success lit a fire under me, but I knew comfort was my enemy. The first thing I did was move out of my cluttered family home, not out of resentment, but to claim a space of my own. I rented a tiny studio, a blank canvas where I could lock the door, silence the world, and dive deeper into my work. It was a cramped, quiet haven, but it gave me the focus I'd been craving, a place to channel my energy into the next chapter of this journey. That move was a game changer for me too. In 2024, I left my noisy shared apartment for a small loft, trading chaos for solitude. It wasn't fancy, bare walls and a creaky desk, but it became my fortress of productivity. I recall a friend who relocated to a modest cabin to focus on her art, and within months, her sales doubled. The narrator's choice to carve out a personal space echoes my belief that environment shapes mindset. In 2025, with remote work normalized, finding your own corner can be the spark that ignites bigger dreams. I was ecstatic about the £12,000 month, but I wasn't about to rest on my laurels. That parrot mascot job haunted me, a symbol of where I'd been, a life I refused to revisit. I vowed to push harder, to build something so solid that I'd never have to slip back into that costume or that old, aimless existence. This wasn't just about money, it was about freedom, about rewriting my story with every step forward. That drive to escape the past fuels me too. After a dead-end gig in 2023, I swore off ever returning to that grind, channeling that fear into a side hustle that now earns me $800 monthly. I think of an old roommate who, after a soul-crushing retail stint, built a photography business that freed him from that life. The narrator's resolve to avoid the parrot job mirrors my own. Those low points become our North Star, guiding us to a life we can own. On a night like this in 2025, it's a reminder that every effort is a vote for the future we deserve. Settling into my new studio, I knew the £12,000 month in August was just the beginning. I wasn't here to maintain, I was here to grow, to seize the biggest opportunity of the year, Q4. With Black Friday looming on the horizon, I prepared to dive back into the grind, hibernating like a hermit for the next 3 months. My days blurred into a cycle of early mornings, gym sessions to keep my energy sharp, and 11 to 14 hours of focused work, fueled by an endless stream of instant coffee and takeout orders. This wasn't about comfort, it was about building something bigger than I'd ever imagined. That relentless focus is a mindset I've come to respect. In late 2023, I prepared for a holiday sales push with my ebook series, locking myself away for weeks, surviving on ramen and sheer will. I'd wake at 5 a.m., hit my yoga mat, then work until midnight, tweaking every detail. I think of a friend who, in 2024, prepped for a Cyber Monday launch of her candle business, working 12-hour days, she tripled her revenue that season. The narrator's Q4 prep mirrors my own hustle. On May 14, 2025, at 9:17 p.m., I'm reminded that big opportunities demand big sacrifices. Those grueling hours are the seeds of breakthroughs. The truth about entrepreneurship isn't what you see on social media: no yachts, no champagne brunches. It's late nights, a cluttered desk, and the quiet hum of determination. I'd wake at dawn, hit the gym to shake off the fog, then dive into work, crafting a new product line, refining my strategy, reaching out to potential partners. The world outside faded, my universe shrank to the glow of my screen and the goal ahead. People think success looks glamorous, but it's built in the shadows, through laser focus and unshakable discipline. I've lived that reality too. In 2024, while scaling my side hustle, I skipped outings, ignored my inbox, and poured everything into my craft. Friends called me a ghost, but I knew the grind was temporary for a permanent gain. I recall a mentor who built a $500,000 coaching business by shutting out distractions for months. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. The narrator's disciplined routine hits home. In 2025, with digital tools making focus easier, we can all carve out that space. It's about choosing the hard path now for the easy life later. By the time November rolled around, I was ready. The new product line launched, and the results were nothing short of explosive, 15x what I'd earned back in April. It was the validation I'd been chasing, proof that every sleepless night, every skipped social event, had been worth it. Just over 14 months after starting this venture, I crossed the seven-figure mark, hitting £1,200,000. It was a milestone I hadn't expected to reach so soon, a surreal moment that felt like standing on a mountain I'd climbed with my bare hands. That explosive growth is the kind of win we all dream of. In 2024, my own project spiked 5x during a holiday rush, earning $10,000 in a month, a personal record. I think of a colleague who launched a tech gadget in 2023, seeing 10x growth by year-end, hitting $300,000. The narrator's 15x surge and £1,200,000 milestone are electrifying. It's the reward of grit. Tonight, reflecting at 9:17 p.m. on May 14, 2025, I'm inspired by how momentum builds when you stay the course. It's not just a number, it's a testament to what's possible when you refuse to quit. When the numbers finally ticked over to £1,200,000, just 14 months after I began, the euphoria lasted all of 5 minutes. I sat there, staring at the screen, expecting a rush of triumph, but it didn't come. Sure, it sounds flashy, a seven-figure milestone, but does it really mean anything? I realized it didn't change who I was. I wasn't suddenly successful or made it. The title on those numbers was just that, numbers. Others out there make this in a week, a day, even an hour, and that humbling truth grounded me fast. I've felt that anticlimax too. In 2024, I hit a $15,000 month with my side hustle, and for a moment, I thought I'd arrived, until I saw peers rake in 6 figures overnight. It's a sobering slap. I think of a mentor who crossed $500,000 but admitted it didn't fill the void he expected. The narrator's humility mirrors my own journey. Tonight, May 14, 2025, at 9:19 p.m., I see that milestones are markers, not the finish line. They're a mirror to reflect on what truly matters beyond the digits. What mattered wasn't the money itself, but the freedom it unlocked. As humans, we don't chase numbers on a screen, we chase the life those numbers can buy. For me, that meant peace of mind, the ability to breathe without financial panic, and the power to live on my terms. In this golden era of online entrepreneurship in 2025, hitting £10,000 to £20,000 a month isn't as far-fetched as it seems. It's a gateway to a life where you call the shots, not your bank balance. That freedom is what keeps me going. In 2023, a $2,000 month from my ebooks let me quit a toxic job, and the relief was indescribable, less about the cash, more about choosing my days. I recall a friend who, in 2024, earned $8,000 monthly online, using it to travel and support her family. The narrator's insight hits home: money is a tool, not the treasure. Tonight, with 2025's digital boom, think AI marketing, global marketplaces, it's within reach if we dare to grab it. It's about crafting a life, not just a ledger. The biggest lesson I've learned is that success isn't luck or a secret formula, it's about starting, stumbling, and pushing through. The obstacle isn't out there, it's the voice in your head whispering you can't. If I can rise from a parrot mascot gig to this, anyone can. It took sacrifice, locking myself away, living a regimented life. But now I'm stepping into a new chapter. I can finally leave that room, travel the world, connect with kindred spirits, create what sets my soul on fire, and lift up my loved ones, all while chasing bigger dreams. That sacrifice-reward cycle is my story too. In 2024, I isolated for months to build my brand, missing holidays, but it led to a $5,000 month that funded a trip to Japan. I think of a cousin who traded social life for a music venture, now touring globally. The narrator's new chapter inspires me: freedom to explore, create, and give back. On May 14, 2025, at 9:19 p.m., I'm reminded that the grind pays off in ways money can't measure. Nothing worth having comes easy, but the payoff is a life you own. So, here's my challenge to you: start now. Take that first shaky step, learn as you go, and don't let your mind cage you. Lock yourself in a room if you must, pour your heart into it, and watch the world open up. Your journey to freedom is waiting. Grab it with both hands and make it yours.